On a winter night in Tehran, a half-ton of secret documents vanished from a nondescript warehouse. Blueprints, bomb designs, and the signatures of Iran's top nuclear scientist were among them. The official story said Iran had halted its weapons work years before. But the truth hidden in the archive forced the world to rethink everything about Iran's nuclear ambitions. How did this impossible heist really happen? And what was so explosive that spies risked it all to bring these files to light? Inside the seized archive, the scale and detail of Iran's nuclear ambitions became undeniable. Among 55,000 pages and 183 disks, investigators found technical blueprints for nuclear warheads, complete with diagrams showing the core, detonators, and explosive lenses required to trigger a chain reaction. Schematics mapped the integration of these warheads onto Shahab-3 missiles, a delivery system capable of reaching targets far beyond Iran's borders. There were project management charts listing code names, milestones, and personnel, each step tracked in meticulous detail. At the top of these charts, one name appeared again and again: Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. His signature in Farsi script was stamped on technical slides and orders, confirming his role as the project's scientific head. One slide, dated during the height of the AMAD project, outlined a timeline for weaponization and included directives signed by Fakhrizadeh himself. Testing logs described experiments with uranium deuteride, material used only in nuclear initiators, and included diagrams of high explosive chambers at military sites like Parchin. These were not theoretical sketches or generic research notes, but concrete records of design, testing, and planned deployment. Western intelligence agencies, after reviewing the files and digital metadata, concluded the documents were authentic and uniquely Iranian. For years, analysts suspected Iran's weapons work went deeper than the official story allowed. Now, with blueprints, signatures, and a paper trail stretching across more than a decade, the archive laid bare the intent and organization behind the program. For years before the archive surfaced, international inspectors relied on educated guesses and fragmentary intelligence. The IAEA official view, shaped by limited site visits and interviews, held that Iran's weapons work had ended in 2003. Analysts debated possible military dimensions, a phrase that covered suspicions about hidden experiments and design work, but they lacked direct proof. Some believed that, after the nuclear deal, Iran's program had shifted to knowledge preservation, keeping expertise alive without active weaponization. Others doubted even that, citing the absence of hard evidence. Western intelligence agencies, too, operated in this fog. Reports hinted at secret facilities, but without documents or signatures, the case remained circumstantial. Skeptics pointed out that much of the IAEA information came from voluntary Iranian disclosures or intercepted communications, not from original files. The seizure of the archive in 2018 changed that calculus overnight. For the first time, investigators could see internal management charts, handwritten orders, and technical diagrams that matched, and sometimes exceeded, years of speculation. The files revealed not just old plans, but a deliberate effort to organize, store, and conceal the entire history of Iran's weaponization project. Names that had appeared in rumors now appeared on official directives. Timelines, project codes, and even test logs lined up with intelligence that had once seemed incomplete. The archive confirmed the breadth and sophistication of the AMAD project, erasing doubts about its scope and intent. For IAEA analysts, the baseline shifted. What had been a debate over fragments became a reckoning with the full record. The need for covert action, once debated in diplomatic circles, gained new urgency as the facts came into focus. In early 2016, Mossad intercepted a stream of coded Iranian communications that hinted at a new hiding place for the country's most sensitive nuclear records. A tip from a source inside Iran pointed agents to an anonymous warehouse on the industrial outskirts of Shorabad, south of Tehran. From that moment, surveillance began in earnest. Teams tracked the comings and goings of unmarked trucks, watched as heavy safes were moved into the building, and mapped every shift change among the guards. Overhead, satellites captured vehicle patterns and the subtle rearrangement of containers. Technicians logged alarm system brands and traced power lines to backup batteries, building a technical profile of the facility's defenses. To eliminate guesswork, Mossad constructed a full-scale replica of the warehouse abroad. Every door, corridor, and safe was measured and rebuilt. For months, agents rehearsed their approach, timing how long it took to cut through reinforced doors, override alarms, and locate the right containers. Each run was clocked, every misstep analyzed. The team studied Tehran's traffic patterns, planned alternate exit routes, and drilled for contingencies, from sudden power failures to unexpected patrols. Confidence grew not from bravado, but from repetition and precision. By the time the operation was greenlit, every movement had been practiced to the second, every risk mapped and accounted for. The groundwork was set for a breach that would have to unfold with absolute speed and certainty. Just after midnight on January the 31st, 2018, a convoy of Mossad operatives arrived outside the Shorabad warehouse. The city was quiet, but inside the compound, every second mattered. Agents moved with practiced speed, bypassing the outer locks and disabling the alarm system with a custom electronic override. The margin for error was razor thin. They had just over 6 hours before the next guard shift. The team split up, each group heading for a specific section of the warehouse. Lined up against the walls were 32 industrial safes, each weighing hundreds of kilograms, each sealed with thick steel doors. Operatives fired up high-temperature cutting torches. The hiss and glow were barely contained as they sliced through the metal. The safes had been designed to withstand brute force and fire, but not this level of precision. Inside the vaults, stacks of binders and disks were quickly sorted. Priority went to containers marked with code words linked to warhead design and missile integration. The clock was always visible, counting down the seconds. Any misstep, any delay, would mean the entire mission, and years of intelligence work could be lost in an instant. By the end of the window, the most sensitive files were in hand, packed for a rapid escape. Hauling nearly 500 kilograms of binders and disks through Tehran before sunrise required more than speed. The logistics team divided the archive between multiple vehicles, each assigned a different escape route. Decoy convoys set out in separate directions, some looping through city streets, others heading for distant highways, all designed to confuse any pursuers once the alarm sounded. The real cargo moved under the cover of darkness, following a carefully charted path toward a remote border crossing. Every checkpoint, every turn had been mapped and rehearsed months in advance. Iranian security only discovered the breach at the morning shift change, nearly 7 hours after the team had already vanished. By then, emergency roadblocks and a citywide manhunt swept through Tehran, but the archive was already far beyond their reach. Inside Mossad headquarters, confirmation came in coded transmissions. The files, weighing half a ton, had left Iranian soil without a trace. For the planners, the most dangerous hours were over. The operation shifted from the shadows of Tehran to the international stage, where the world would soon see what had been hidden for years. On April 30th, 2018, the world watched as Israel's Prime Minister unveiled 55,000 pages of Iranian nuclear documents and 183 disks stacked in plain view. But spectacle alone could not prove authenticity. Intelligence agencies demanded hard evidence. Forensic analysts scrutinized digital files for hidden markers, metadata showing creation dates, revision histories, and even the unique fingerprints left by Iranian office scanners. Physical pages were checked for government seals, watermarks, and signatures that matched known Iranian templates. Western experts compared code words, project charts, and personnel names against years of intercepted communications and IAEA records. The chain of custody ran from Tehran's warehouse, through secure Mossad vaults, to isolated review rooms where American and European teams examined the archive firsthand. No laboratory ink tests were ever disclosed, but the technical and contextual consistency convinced Allied intelligence services. These were not forgeries. The archive's authenticity was now a matter of public record, setting the stage for diplomatic fallout. Within days of the archive's reveal, the diplomatic landscape fractured. In Washington, the files became a rallying point for officials who argued that Iran had violated both the spirit and the letter of the nuclear deal. The US announced its withdrawal from the JCPOA in May 2018, citing the newly uncovered evidence as justification for reimposing sanctions. In Tehran, the response was swift and severe. Security agencies launched internal investigations, quietly arresting warehouse staff and purging officials suspected of negligence or disloyalty. New protocols were ordered for every sensitive facility, rotating staff, upgrading surveillance, and tightening access to classified material. Legal scholars and policymakers around the world debated the ethics of the Mossad operation. Some argued that seizing state secrets on foreign soil set a dangerous precedent, while others insisted the stakes justified the breach. Today, the archive remains under tight Israeli control, stored in secure vaults and reviewed only by select analysts. Its existence continues to shape negotiations, inspections, and the boundaries of covert action in international affairs. Today, the seized archive still shapes global negotiations and intelligence estimates. As Iran's nuclear intentions are debated in every summit, the reality found in those documents haunts every red line. In a world of secrets, the race between exposure and denial defines tomorrow's risks and today's choices.